to the continuation session on karma. So in the previous session, we have discussed about the definition of karma, karma lakshana, and discussed 6 important karmas. Those were Deepana, Pachana, Samshodhana, Samshamana, and Grahi and Stambhana. So as I had earlier also stated, these karmas are very important from clinical point of view for our clinical practice, as well as in our exams, which are usually a long essay type questions. So continuing with this chapter of karma, today we will discuss 6 more important karmas. Those are Anulomana, Sramsarana, Bhedana, Rechana, Lekhana and Chedana. So the objective of understanding these karmas would be in 2 aspects. First of all, understanding what this karma is in detail, and most important is how would we apply this in Chikitsa. So we will move on to the first karma of today's class, and that is Anulomana. First, let's understand this shloka as stated in Sharangadhara. Krutva pakam malanam
yat vitva bandham adhonayet tat cha anulomanam gneyam yatha prokta haritaki. Krutva pakam malanam yat vitva bandham adhonayet. So a dravya which has the capacity to do malapaka and removes obstructions and moves it downwards in the downward direction is said to be as Anulomana. This is what the meaning we understand by reading this Sanskrit quotation. This is called as Anulomana, and he gives an example as in Haritaki. Let's try to analyze this shloka further by splitting it and getting a deeper analysis on each of these terms. Pakam malanam. So krutva pakam malanam. What does it do? An anulomana karma or a dravya having anulomana karma will assist in malapaka. So very important aspect. So if there is an incompletely formed mala, that is completed by the action of an anulomana karma. Second, bitva bandham. Bitva means to remove, and it removes bandha, that is obstruction. What does it mean? If you see the commentary on this particular shloka, we realize the bandha can be of 2 forms, like doshadi paraspara gratita bandha. So if there is any associated doshas and there is obstruction because of this type of an obstruction can be removed with the help of anulomana karma. The second point is vata mutra purisha apravrutti rupam bandham. So there can be another type of obstruction. This is caused not because of the doshadi or the associated doshas, but it is because of vata, mutra, purisha. And this is the immobility of these 3 malas for which we require anulomana karma. So on the upper surface, though we feel the shloka refers to just malapaka and removes the obstruction, but if we understand the inner meaning or the deeper meaning of these words, we realize it just does not relate to purisha as a mala, but refers to even mutra, purisha, vata, and also in case it is associated with dosha, gratita dosha. So very important that it removes the obstruction in all these conditions. And the third aspect which an anulomana karma or a dravya containing an anulomana karma will do is it moves it in the downward direction. What does it move? It moves the gratita dosha or the vata or mutra. An anulomana dravya would have all these 3 things performing. That it does malapaka, it removes the obstruction, and it removes it in the downward direction. Now the example as stated in the previous shloka was Haritaki. Haritaki is the fruits of Terminalia cebula, which belongs to Combrettaceae. So probably most of you would have seen this and also used in clinical practice, which is a very important dravya of Ayurveda, and that is Haritaki, which is said to have anulomana karma. Now, in the context of anulomana, if we see in Sushruta Samhita, there is a cross-reference where it is stated that Saro anulomana prokto. this is in the context of describing gunas, and he says Saraguna has Anulomana karma. So now you know that there is a relation between Saraguna and Anuloma. Now, if we check the commentary given on this particular shloka for the word Anulomana, Delhana comments very clearly, Anulomano Vata Mala Pravartakna. So, a Saraguna Dravya has the action of Anulomana. Now, what does Anulomana mean then? Anulomana means that which has the ability to give momentum, to give some action to Vata and Mala. So it has the ability of giving movement to these two things. But there is an addition from Sharangadhara Shloka which says it could be Gratita Dosha as well. Now, so to remember what does the Anulomana Dravya perform? It has these three important things which you should remember. One, Malapaka, it clears obstructions, the bandham, and moves it in the downward direction. Now, in the pharmacology, we come across a type of activity and called as carminatives. So, in this context of Anulomana, let's understand what is carminatives, because carminatives are also said to have an ability to remove Vata from the GI tract, that is the gastrointestinal tract. Similarly, we find in Anulomana, it also has one of the karma, that it is Vata Pravartaka. So in this way, these two are slightly related to each other, though Anulomana would go beyond being a carminative. So let's see what it means. So drugs which help to expel the gas from the stomach or the intestines are called as carminatives. And this is commonly used in the treatment of flatulence and in colics like colic pain, because of the pain generated due to gas which is present in the GI tract. Now, in these carminatives which are described in pharmacology, most of them are aromatic in nature. And the probable mechanism of action I explained in pharmacology is that they produce a feeling of warmth in the stomach. So you see that it is completely different from the explanation given for our Anulomana karma. So it is just part of the explanation. And how does it act? It acts by increasing the gastrointestinal motility and relaxation of the sphincters. So this is the carminative effect given by certain of the aromatic drugs which are explained in pharmacology. But always remember that the Anulomana karma has actions beyond just a local action of giving warmth to the intestine, but has Malapaka. It removes the bandha and moves the Vata, Mutra and Dosha in the downward direction. Some examples which are quoted in the pharmacology are cardamom, ginger. So you can see all of them have these volatile principles, or phenol or asafoetida. So let's move on to the second karma, that is sramsana. Paktavyam yadapaktva shlishtam koshte maladikam nayet yadaha sramsanam tat yatha syat kritamalaka. I will repeat the shloka again. Understand it very clearly, split it and understand. Try to understand. We will further analyze each of these words. Paktavyam yadapaktva shlishtam koshte maladikam nayet yadaha sramsanam tat syat krutamalakaha. So if you have to, in a superficial way, understand this shloka, so the sramsana karma is one which will act on paktavya, that is the one which is completely or in the process of being undergoing malapaka, or apakta, pakva, so not at all completely formed mala. And these are resident in the koshta, shlishtam koshte, and it refers to all the other malas. So the mala which is adherent in the koshta are acted upon by a sramsana dravya, and it will move it in the downward direction as stated in Nayet Yadaha. But let us explain and understand this further. So it is very clear from the shloka that the nature of mala on which a sramsana dravya acts is pakva and apakva mala. It is still very clear, paktavya, that means it is in the process of digestion. The mala segregation is still not completed. The rasa, ahara rasa and mala is still not completed and is in the process. That type of a mala or an apakva mala is what is acted upon by a sramsana dravya. Shlishtam koshte. So this type of mala is situated or residing in the koshta. Shlishtam koshte. And nayet yadaha. And it moves this type of a mala in the downward direction. So we see if you have to compare between Anulomana and Sramsana karma, the similarities are nayet yadaha. That means both an Anulomana dravya or a Sramsana dravya does the downward movement. True. But there are certain differences. Remember, Anulomana dravya does malapaka, while in the case of Sramsana, it wouldn't do malapaka. But of course, it acts on apakva and in the process of digesting mala. But it wouldn't try to convert it into completely formed mala. That is the difference, important difference between Anulomana and Sramsana karma. The example given in Sharangadhara is Aragvada. Krutamala is the synonym which is stated in the shloka. So this is the plant which is identified as Acacia fistula and belongs to Cisalpinaceae family. And as you can see the fruits here, so the fruit pulp is the important part which has the Sramsana karma. So it is very important. We may recollect at this point from the Agriya Prakarana of Charaka, where we find Chaturangula has been stated as the best, the Agriya Dravya for Mrudu Virechana Shreshtaha. So as you can see in this picture here, it is the fruit pulp of this particular plant which is used as a Mrudu Virechana Dravya. Here we are discussing it under the heading of Sramsana. Now we move on to the third karma called as Bhedana. So we have finished Anulomana, second was Sramsana, the third karma is Bhedana. Maladikam abhaddam va baddam va pinditam malaihi bhitva adaha patayati tat bhedanam katuki yatha. Slightly confusing with the Sanskrit terms. I would repeat it again. Maladikam abhaddam va baddham va pinditam malaihi bhitva adaha patayati tat bhedanam katuki yatha. So superficially, if you have to understand this shloka, it says that the dravya which will act on either abhaddha or baddhamala or pinditamala, and it will move, helps to move it in the downward direction, then it is a Bhedana dravya, as we see in the example of Katuki. But let's split this because it has inner meaning and better explanation if you understand each word of this particular shloka from the commentary. So the first word is maladikam. What does maladikam mean here? It means it refers to mala as in purisha, also refers to dosha which has the ability of creating mala, that is malinikaranat malaha. So if doshas have that ability, even then they would be termed as mala, which you already know from your physiology background. Abhaddam or baddha. So mala, which is either abhaddha or baddha. Now we have to understand what is this abhaddha and baddha. We shall understand that later. Vitva means sthanat sanchalya. So it is very clear from the commentary what each term used in the shloka means. So vitva here refers to removing it from that place. So sthanat sanchalya removes from that particular place where it is situated. What is situated? It could be the abhaddha or baddha mala. Adaha patayati, and this also moves in the downward direction. So you can very clearly analyze the similarities between the three karmas which we have discussed. Anulomana, Sramsana, Bhedana. All the three have the ability of nayet yadaha. That means putting the dosha or mala in the downward direction. The difference lies in on what it acts. In Anulomana, it was Apakva Mala, it was doing Malapaka, while in Sramsana, it was acting on incompletely formed Mala or just not started at all. Paka stalled, not at all started. Now, Vedana acts on Abadda and Baddha Mala. Let's understand what is this Abadda and Baddha Mala. So, in the commentary, it stated that, commentary on Sharangadhara Shloka, so Adamala says this, Abadda Mala means Drava Swarupa Mala, and Baddha Mala refers to Shushka Purisha. So now here it is very clear on the nature of Purisha we are talking in the case of Mala as Purisha. Now if it is Dosha, then it is Gratita Dosha. Remember, while we discussed Maladikam, Maladi refers to either Dosha or Mala as in Purisha. So if it is concerned with Purisha, then Abadha means Drava Swarupa Mala and Baddha means Shushka Purisha, dried feces. And Dosha refers to Gratita Dosha. So a Bhedana Dravya would act on all these three type of conditions and it will help to move these in the downward direction. This is generally correlated to a terminology or an activity called as cholaretic. What do you mean by cholaretic? Cholaretic are the drugs which have the ability of increasing the secretion of bile. Cholagogues are the another terminology which are also referred to in this context, which are nothing but drugs which have the ability to expel out the secreted bile into the duodenum. So usually choleretics are also good cholagogues, that is they have the ability of expelling the secreted bile into the abdomen. So generally they are correlated to Bhedana karma. And the example given here is Picrorhiza pura, that is Katuki, the rhizomes of which are the used part, and they have been investigated and found to have actually cholaretic action. That means they have the ability to secrete bile juice and also to expel them into the duodenum. In this context, it would be right to discuss the Vedaniya Mahakashaya of Charaka. So you know that in Charaka Sutrasthana, 4th chapter, there are 50 Mahakashayas which have been discussed, and one of them is also Vedaniya. What does Vedaniya refer to here? Vedanaya Shariran Mala Dosha Nirharanaya. Very clear here also, Mala or Dosha. It can be Mala as in Purisha or Gratita Dosha. So in both the context, whether you open Charaka's cross-reference shloka or in the case of Sharangadhara commentary, it is very clear whenever there is Mala, it refers to both Purisha and Gratita Dosha. So any drug which has the ability to remove this from the body are referred to as Vedaniya. So you have 10 herbs here enlisted. Those 10 herbs are Suvaha, that is Trivrut, Arka, Urubuka, that is Erenda, and Langali, Agnimukhi. Then you have Danti, Chitraka, so it is Chitra, Chitraka, Chitra in the shloka which refers to Danti. Then you have Chitraka and Chirabilva, Haimavati, this is Euphorbia dracunculoides, and Katuki, which is also stated in the Bhedaniya Mahakashaya, and the last one is Euphorbia Thomsoniana, that is Shankini. So these are the 10 herbs which have been stated under Charaka Mahakashaya under Bhedaniya. The last karma under these 4 which acts on Mala, the 4th one is Rechana. Let's see what Sharangadhara has to state on the word Rechana karma. Vipakvam yadapakvam va maladi dravatam nayet rechayatyapi tat gneyam rechanam trivruta yatha. Vipakvam yadapakvam va maladi dravatam nayet. So here you can see from the shloka that these are the dravyas which act on vipakva, well-formed feces, or it could be apakva, for not formed feces, still not yet formed feces. Maladi, again you have the word maladi. So from our previous quotations, we are aware that mala just does not refer to purisha, but it could also be for doshas which are aggravated. Another additional is dravatam naye. So whether it is acting on apakva or pakvamala or dosha, it will liquefy it and move it in the downward direction. Rechayatyapi tadgneyam, as in Tribrut. So let's again split it and try to understand the shloka. Maladi refers to mala as purisha and dosha, aggravated doshas. Remember, Rechana is an important karma for pitta vriddhi. So if there is excessive accumulation of pitta and it is the right time to expel it out as a samshodhana, then Rechana is the one opted for. So it can be for dosha as well. Vipakvam or apakvam. So you have two different types of mala on which a Rechana dravya will act. Completely formed or incompletely formed mala. Dravatam. So this liquefies, a Rechana dravya liquefies this type of mala and expels it out of the body. If you have experienced taking Virechana as one of the Panchakarma procedures, you would clearly understand what a Rechana dravya would do. So initially, the first few Vegas, there would be just normal mala pravritti. But gradually, there will be very watery stools which are expelled out of the body, which contains slight amount feces. So this is what a Rechana dravya would do. It would liquefy the mala and the dosha and expel out from the body, which gives a clear-cut differentiation between Anulomana, Sramsana, Bhedana. Now, Naye Tadaha is the common thing which we find in all these four karmas which we have discussed. Whether you take of Anulomana, Rechana or Sramsana or Bhedana, all of them have the ability to move the mala or dosha in the downward direction. Now let's see another reference. This is from Charaka Kalpasthana. Hope you are aware that Kalpasthana discusses about 6 different herbs on Vamana and 6 another on Virechana. So in this context, there is a shloka where he says, Dosha Haranam Adobhagam Virechanam. So when discussing what is Virechana, Virechana is one which will remove Dosha Harana, doshas from the downward direction, and that is called as Virechana. So in this same context, he specifies that these dravyas are predominant with Prithvi and Up Mahabhuta. So these are predominantly made up of these two Mahabhutas. Another contextual reference we get about Rechana is in Charaka Agriyas, Charaka Sutra 26 chapter, which gives list of the best items, Agriya. We find 3 different type of Rechana. Virechana as Sukha Virechaka, Mrudu Virechaka and Tikshna Virechaka. Remember, while discussing the Sramsana karma, the example was Kritamala. So there we had a contextual reference of Mrudu Virechana, which was Aragvada, the best to be considered by the Charaka Agriya. And of course, Sukha Virechaka is Tribrut and Tikshna Virechaka is Snupi Kshira. These are usually correlated to laxatives or purgatives. If you open pharmacology texts and read about laxative and purgatives, there is usually a description and an explanation that if you use laxative in slightly higher doses, they act as purgatives and vice versa. So if you use purgatives in lower doses, they would be acting as laxatives. So laxative or purgative, these actually work on the intestinal mucosa at various levels and try to remove the accumulated feces out of the GI tract. We will discuss about that in the coming few slides. So this is the example stated in Sharangadhara Shloka for Rechana, Trivrut, which is said to be a Sukha Virechaka. So this is the original plant, Operculum terpatum, and these are the roots of Trivrut which are used as Sukha Virechakas. Now let's try to understand these 4 karmas which are related to Malapaka or on Purisha or Mala. If you just relate to the physiology of the GI, the gastrointestinal system, we see that digestion in the large intestine is very limited. We do not find digestion taking place in the large intestine to a great extent. But what actually happens is the absorption, reabsorption of water and electrolytes. So most of the digestion is completed in the small intestine, and the absorption of water and electrolytes, depending on the condition, is what takes place in the large intestine. So in case there is a less absorption of water, that means the feces will have lot of water content. That means it becomes very drava, and vice versa. Otherwise, if the person takes in very less amount of water, then obviously reabsorption of water in the large intestine would be very less, and the feces would become very hard. That is shushka. So there are certain factors on which fecal movement in the colon depends on. This also is apt while understanding Grahi and Stambhana, because these are the factors on which we will try to explain how a Grahi or a Stambhana Dravya acts. So if the fecal movement has to be very easy, comfortable, then there are certain things which needs to be in right quantity, like the water, the mucus, and the bulk of the feces, so that there is easy movement in the bowels. Similarly, there are two different type of GI movements which happen in the large intestine, which will help for the expulsion of the feces. And there are certain secretions also which will help for the movement of the feces. In case there is irritation of the mucosa, which usually happens in certain bacterial infections and viral infections, the mucosa is irritated and secretion increases. This is the background or the pathogenesis what happens when we find atisara caused because of bacteria and other toxins. So it is increased secretions which are normal to a certain extent physiologically get increased when there is irritation to the mucosa. And of course, a certain amount of absorption which also takes place. So higher the absorption, harder will be the stools, and harder the stools, slower will be the fecal movement. So these are the factors on which the bowel movement is concerned with. And basically most of these dravyas which we have spoken, having these karmas as anulomana, stramsana, rechana and vedana, would also act at these levels, thereby expelling the fecal matter or doshas, which we consider gratita doshas in these contexts. Now let's try to understand the most important aspect of any karma, that is, where will you apply these karma? More so, as we have discussed earlier, karma cannot be found independent. It is always ashrita in the dravya. So how will you use dravyas having these karmas? So clinical application is very, very important for our clinical practice. So anulomana, if you take anulomana as a karma, as the Sushruta very clearly specifies, Dalhana, he tells Vata Mala Anulomaka or Pravartaka. So wherever you require there is obstruction to Vata and Purisha, we can first think of an Anulomana Dravya. And there is also a condition in Shwasa where you require Vata Anulomana. There you don't require Purisha to be a Pravartaka for Purisha. You don't require the movement of feces, but we require the movement of Vata, because in such conditions we can still make use of an Anulomana Dravya along with specific Shvasahara Dravya. The other condition is in Atisara. You may be wondering how you can use these Dravyas in Atisara where there is already excessive secretion and excretion of feces. Well, the logic here is, in Atisara, if it is associated with Ama and you have Apakva Mala, the best choice is to remove it as it is by not stopping it. So either you should use a Grahi Dravya, as we have discussed in the previous session, or else you have to use Anulomana Dravya, as the best Anulomaka, as we have discussed here, is Haritaki. So if you open Charaka Chikitsa Sthana in Atisara Adhyaya, you would find the first choice or the first line of treatment is to leave the Ama to leave out of the body, and the use of Haritaki in such instances, which is an Anulomana Dravya. Remember, Anulomana Dravya is one which does Malapaka and then removes any obstructions and moves the Mala in the downward direction. So this would be very apt in the condition of Atisara. The next condition is in Vibandha, where we can very successfully make use of either an Anulomana or a Rechana Dravya. Of course, depending on the dose, you would increase or decrease the Rechana Dravya to make it useful in Vibandha. So this is the third condition where we can use Anulomana Dravya or a Rechana Dravya, that is in Vibandha, that is when you have hard stools, you can make use of these four different type of karmas. In Admana, so as we discussed in the first Anulomana karma, so if there is Vata or Mala apravartana, then Admana is a condition where you would have distension of the abdomen, and removing this obstruction is easier by using a Anulomana Dravya. Sramsana, where do we make use of Sramsana karma? So dravyas which have the Sramsana karma can be very aptly used in Pitta and Vataja conditions. Similarly, Bhedana, if you have to have an effect on bile secretion, stimulation of the secretion of bile or the expulsion, then Vedana Dravyas can be used. And of course, Rechana, as Virechana as a karma, as you are aware of, can be used in Pitta Vriddhi conditions. But it should be apt for Samshodhana, then you can make use of Rechana Dravyas. Or else even in conditions of Vibandha, the dose, if reduced, can be made use even in Vibandha, where it would not act as a Panchakarma procedure of Virechana. We will move on to the next karma, that is Chedana. So, Shlishtan Kafadikan Doshan Unmulayati Yat Balat Chedanam Tadyata Kshara Marichani Shilajatu. I will read it again. Shlishtan Kafadikan Doshan Unmulayati Yat Balat. So, what does it mean? Whichever doshas are adherent, like Kafadi, these doshas are removed or unmulayati from the roots. They are removed from the roots by that innate ability. That is called as Chedana, as seen in Kshara, Maricha and Shilajatu. We will try to explain each one of them to make it more easier for understanding. Shlishtan. Shlishtan is adherent or stagnated, or it can be admixed or aggravated doshas. That is what it means by Shlishtan. It can be referred to. You have Kafadi doshan. From the shloka, you have Shlishtan Kafadikan doshan. So what are these Kafadi? It can be Vata, Pitta or Vatadi doshas. It can also refer to Shonita as a dosha. Remember Sushruta's context. Or it can be Krimi as well. So a dravya which will act on Shlishta, these type of doshas. So it could be acting on Vatadi dosha, Shonita or Krimi. But these needs to be stagnated somewhere. And these are removed from their respective places from the root level because of the ability of the dravya. So yet balat. So they are removed quickly due to the innate ability of the dravya. This is what is a Chedana Dravya will do. Now the three examples given are Kshara, Maricha, that is Piper nigra, which belongs to Piperaceae family, and the other one is Shilajatu. So these three dravyas have the ability of removing the Kafadi doshas, including could be Krimi or could be Shonita, from the root level, and it has the ability to remove it because of its innate Shakti, because of its Bala. In this particular context, I would like to quote a cross reference where we find in Agre Prakarana again, Hingu Niryasa Chedaniya Deepaniya Anulomika Vata Kapha Prashamananam Shreshtaha. So as he explains the Agriya of Hingu Niryasa, he says that it is one of the best Chedaniya, Deepaniya and so on. It is Anulomika as well. And also Vata Kapha Prashamana. So this Dravya, that is Hingu, has also the ability of doing Chedana. So it can remove the Kaphadi doshas from the roots because of its innate ability. Now let's see the clinical application of Chedana. In Shalya, if you see open Sushruta Samhita, we see that there are the Shashti Upakrama. Among them, Chedana is also one among these 60 Upakramas. And by this, we understand that it can also be used in Vrana and Vranashotha. The other one, which is very commonly made use of, is it's in the treatment of Arshas. So you require Chedana. Of course, there would be Maladis, which needs to be expelled out completely from the root. And you find Kshara, which is very commonly applied externally in the form of Kshara application or as Kshara Sutra, which is useful in Arshas. So what is the karma which happens there? It is the Chedana karma. We move on to the last karmas of today's session, and that is Lekhana. Dhatun malan va dehasya vishoshya ullekhayet chayetat Lekhanam tadhyata kshaudram neeramushnam vachayava. Dhatun malanva dehasya. So these are the dravyas which would act on either dhatu or mala, and it would act by doing shoshana and lekhana. Ullekhaye. Very similar to what you see in kshaudra, ushna jala, vacha and yava. So you find 4 different examples being given here which have the Lekhana karma. Let's try to understand in more detail. Vishoshya, Ullekhana. So Lekhana dravyas have these 2 important sub-steps of action. You can say so. Vishoshya means it dries up. So whatever dhatu or it could be dosha we are talking of, it does the action in 2 stages. One stage is it is doing shoshana, and in the second stage it will scrape it off, and it could be acting either on dhatu or mala. Now in another context we see that lekhanam pattali karanam, so something which thins out is called as lekhana. The properties of a lekhana dravya are it is predominant with vayu and agni mahabhuta. So it would correlate to the shoshana karma and the scraping action, because shoshana you require vayu and the ullekhana karma can be brought about by the agni mahabhuta. So this combination helps you to remove the doshas or dhatus from a particular place. The examples are madhu. You know, it's useful not only as internally but externally also can be applied for its lekhana karma. Ushna jala, in this context I would like to tell you, just have to experience the lekhana karma. You can do it in a very simple way. Just boil a glass of water, boil it thoroughly, and just when it is comfortable for you to drink, not warm but slightly little warmer, more warmer, you drink. The feeling which you would get from the mouth, even through the food pipe, you would realize what is lekhana karma. You feel that scraping action which is done, and you feel it's more clear, the passage being more clear. I think that's the easiest way to explain what lekhana would be. So when it can do as simple as that to your GI, part of a GI, just imagine when it is taken internally, drugs are taken internally, and it has the ability to scrape off dhatus or doshas from the body. So the other herb is Acarus calamus, that is vacha, and you have yava, which is barley, belonging to the Poaceae family. So these are the 4 examples which are given for lekhana dravya. In this context, we can also see the lekhana mahakashaya, which is enlisted in Charaka Sutra's 50 mahakashaya. So as we saw, Bhedaniya, one of them. The other one is the Lekhaniya Mahakashaya, where he refers to 10 different herbs. These are the 10 different herbs enlisted here: Musta, This the first one is Musta, Kushta, Kushta Mula, Haridra, very commonly known. So you know where you all apply. You apply it externally in wounds, even in small scratches. So it does the Lekhana karma effectively even in wound healing. This plant is Daru Haridra, Berbera celestata. Vacha, you see here also given as an example by Sharangadhara, you find here. Ativisha, again Katu Rohini, Katuki, which we have discussed under Vedana. Chitraka, Chirabilva, and Haimavati. So these are the 10 herbs which are enlisted under the Lekaniya Mahakashaya in Charaka Sutra 4th chapter. Now let's discuss the clinical application of Lekhana Karma. Lekhana again, as we have seen Chedana as one among the Shashti Upakrama, we find Lekhana also as the one of the Shashti Upakrama and has almost similar meaning attributed to it. The other one is in the Shalakya condition, there is a stage condition called as Vartma, where type of Anjana called as Lekhana Anjana is used. Even in this condition, Lekhana Dravyas are made use of to prepare Anjana, where because there is Adimamsa, extra fat, dhatu here in the case, that needs to be scraped off, and hence you make use of Lekhana Karma. In Staulya, it can be either used internally or externally in the form of Udvartana, where you, when given internally or externally, will help to remove the dhatus. And that is Medo Dhatu, and that's how it will help to reduce the Staulyatva. So here also it's the Lekhana Dravyas which are usually made use of. And in other condition, recently it has been found that most of the Lekhana Dravyas have also the ability of reducing the cholesterol lipids in the blood. So even in so today we have discussed about the clinical applications of 6 different karmas and also understood the detailed description of 6 different and very important karmas. So thank you very much for this second session on karma. Thank you.